right, welcome everyone. I'm Rochelle Wilhite. I'm the designated broker of Best Choice Realty. And tonight we're going to be covering the buyer consultation on Zoom, how you should be thinking about doing your consultations. You can do a lot of consultations if you are actually utilizing tools like we use every Monday night. So if you don't have a Zoom room or a Zoom meeting link, like I have or Candace uses or other staff at Best Choice, we have been able to be very successful by using our rooms. And you can get a free account as long as you keep your meeting rooms, I think, under 30 minutes. So tonight's really just going to role play with you how I would go about doing something like this, especially if you're fairly new to doing Zoom meetings or consulting with your buyers in this type of format. I think it can be done very, very well, and you can have a much more success than your competitors by utilizing the tools that we have created at Best Choice Realty to be successful and professional. Recently, I had an exchange with a brand new client, and I got to practice using the tools that we created. And it was very successful. And my lender and I are working very closely with this client now, and it's a very successful opportunity. So tonight, Candace has agreed to role play with me, and we will just go right into it. And it should go for about the entire time. We may have questions at the end, but I'm going to actually role play from start to finish and give you guys some tips on how those emails will look as well. So I'll kind of roll through the intro with a few slides, and then we'll jump into the actual consultation. Next slide. So like I said earlier, my brother is the one who referred me to Candace, and this is an example. So the text message from my brother went, her name is blank. She's looking primarily downtown Queen Anne area, but works for a pretty good tech startup near the UW, guessing attracted to the Seattle nightlife. And then he says, already pre-approved. He didn't give me anything. He didn't give me the name of the client. He didn't give me the phone number, but I appreciate having those recommendations, as you guys probably get these as well. So the biggest thing you can do is obviously get a name, phone number, email address, or address. So I just texted back's phone number, ? And then he quickly, within a couple hours, gave me the phone number. But what was funny about this exchange was that I had already replied. He'd actually already emailed me. That's how much my brother cares about my business. So when you build a good sphere of influence business, your people or your family or the people that really care about your real estate business, they have already set you up as the professional. You just have to make sure that you're connecting and connecting quickly. So what was funny is I texted my brother back. I just replied to his email before I got this phone number, and he's already sent me an email, and I'll hopefully speak with him tomorrow. Thanks so much for thinking of me. Don't forget that very important thing, because we want to have the people that refer you actually give you more business, not less. So you will always want to be thinking about, thank you for thinking of me, making sure you appreciate those referrals. Go to the next slide. So then this is an email. So this is the email that like Candace would have sent to me, or that potential lead. So, hi, Rochelle, my name is Candace. I was referred to you by your brother. I recently started looking into possibly purchasing a place in Seattle, and he suggested I reach out to you to see if you are currently taking on new clients. See, a lot of times they don't know, you're taking on new clients. Some context, primarily looking in 2-bedroom condos in the SLU, Denny Triangle, Belltown area, but also looking at townhouses in Queen Anne. Early process in the mortgage pre-approval, already viewed so far with another company. So they auto-assigned me an agent for this particular condo that she already saw. And then she says, I don't believe I have any agent agreement, ... I think. And that is where you want to really pause and make sure you ask questions before you take on anything more. You don't want to be stepping on anybody's toes, and you want to understand what they have signed. So when I emailed back, I'm going to reference this as well. And you'll see in my early conversation with Candace, I will address that at the beginning of my conversation about an agency agreement. Anytime somebody brings up agency, we want to make sure that they have not signed anything with that other agents. Otherwise, you run the risk that you might be working for nothing, and that's not fun. Next slide. So this is what I said back to Candace. Great to hear from you. If you want to copy some of this stuff, that's great. Be my guest. If you want less of this, I think there's some good pieces of this email that would be very helpful for some of you. Maybe that English is a second language, or you want to really improve your communication. Great to hear from you. I did this very quickly. It was probably within 5-10 minutes of the email. So again, response time is very important. Brian is my brother, said you may contact me. Yes, I am taking on new clients, answered his question, and would be happy to help you find and negotiate a place in Seattle. I'm very familiar. Always want to make sure you tie that down, that you understand the areas of where they're looking. In fact, I just threw in a little nugget. Our firm was the #1 sales office at the Insignia Tower downtown, which I didn't even know that Candace was looking at the Insignia Tower. So I got lucky on that one. The first step is getting pre-approved. So you're off to a great start. However, even though you're pre-approved, I don't want to have you pay for more than what your budget will allow. Have you had a consult with a professional to understand your budget? I put a question in there. In this market, the good deals go quick, and I don't want my clients to overpay. I pride myself in finding great investments and also connecting with your lender so that we work together to put together a winning team. Love that, how you tie down that lender. If you want to take some of this, be my guest. Nothing's copyrighted here at Best Choice. Let me know if you have time tomorrow for a free Zoom consultation. At this appointment, we could go over your questions, understand your wishes, discuss strategy, and make sure I understand your timeline and budget. I've got some openings at 5:30 and 7 p.m. tomorrow or Wednesday at noon. I'll send you a calendar link with my Zoom room number. If that doesn't work, please forward me your pre-approval letter and I'll at least get started with your lender and send you some introductory material to review and some opportunities to understand what you like and don't like. BTW, by the way, none of my services will cost you anything. The seller already agrees to pay me a commission for this sort of representation. Again, all of that is how I would correspond with this particular scenario. So, and then he responded, he's like, yeah, 5:30 would be great tomorrow. I sent him a calendar invite on my Gmail. And then he showed up just like we are tonight, just like Candace and I and all of you are on this call. He showed up on the Zoom right on time. So you have to have all of your materials ready to go, just like I have tonight, so that you're not fumbling around. You want to practice this. If you have not done a Zoom meeting room, don't make that your client, your first client. Maybe have a family or a friend, or maybe Candace or I helping you to make sure that you've got your system set up so that you can roll right into a presentation. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide, Shannon. I want to show the buyer agency agreement. Because that was a concern that he or she, Candace, expressed in her email that she's already interacted with a real estate agent. Most people already interact with an agent. In fact, most people have already interacted with at least 3 real estate agents before they actually start showing homes. So you don't think that you're the only person. It's always best to make sure that you have signed some. So I had this ready on the screen. So we'll just jump right in. So Candace, thank you so much for jumping on this webinar with me. How's everything going?
Good. Everything's going fine. I'm excited to get started.
Yeah, my brother Brian said a lot of good things about you, Candace. He said you're a very busy lady in Seattle. Where do you currently work?
I actually work for I'm a contractor for Microsoft.
Oh, nice. And whereabouts? Are you in the city or are you outside the city?
I am in the city, so downtown Seattle. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. And he didn't give me a lot to go off. He just told me about the areas. So specifically, what areas are you interested in?
So primarily Belltown area, but I'm actually open. I want to be somewhere that I don't have a car, for starters. Okay. So an area that's walkable and close to public transportation.
Okay.
And so, but I definitely, I don't need a ton of extras and amenities and the location. So I'm actually open to maybe even a townhouse as well.
Okay. Well, I'm going to jot these things down as we talk, Candace, but one thing I want to kind of get you situated today, like I discussed in my email, is to just, number one, I want to understand what you've signed with that other company. If you have, like, we don't want to have any issues where you're working and I don't want you paying, more than you need to. So I want to first identify that.
Yeah.
And then what I'd like to do is show you a few things, go through a consultation. We'll have a very open dialogue about what you like, what you don't like, kind of where you're at with the financing process. And then the last thing is just kind of showing you a sample contract of what you would need to sign to begin working with me. And all of that takes us about 30 minutes. Do you have about 30 minutes we can spend together?
Absolutely.
Okay, fantastic. So just the first thing is just understanding the buyer agency agreement. So this is what our firm has as a buyer agency agreement. And most of the companies in Washington have some sort of agency agreement. Now, if it sounds like from my brother that you only went out and looked at one property with this other agent, is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. That property was not something you made an offer on?
No.
Okay. So why was that? Why did you not make an offer on it? Was it just the location or?
It's really just wasn't what I was looking for. Location was fine, but the unit itself, I wasn't very impressed.
Okay. And it happened to be insignia, right? That's what was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Did you need the amenities of insignia, or did you?
A lot of extras that I just don't need. So yeah.
Okay. So one of the things with these agency agreements, if you had expressed interest on that particular condo that agent showed you, then there might be what they call procuring cause, which means if you were to write an offer, there would be some commission that may be owed to that company. But as long as that unit is not something you want to move forward with, and you have not signed an agency agreement with that broker or that firm, then you are perfectly fine to openly shop. The reason for a buyer agency agreement, though, Candace, just so you understand, is that it outlines the scope of services of everything that I would do as your broker to help you identify, negotiate, and help you get that deal. Some of the properties that we see, especially in a marketplace like we have right now, where there's not much inventory, there are going to be times where things come to my desk or in my company that are not even on the open market. And so by having an agency agreement signed, it allows me to say, hey, I've got a ready, willing, and able buyer who's very serious about buying, say, a condo downtown. And it allows me to go and find even off-market properties that might meet your needs. Is that something that might be of interest to you as well?
Absolutely. So basically, this just allows you to do your job as a broker for me.
Yes, and it find a deal. Sometimes the deal that we find is not even on the MLS, or on these websites.
Find properties that are not on the market.
That's correct. Yes, we have quite a few. We have about over 300 brokers in my firm. And a lot of these types of brokers, they have sellers that want to maybe not go on the market. They don't want to have their condo exposed, with COVID and everything. They just don't want to have that in and the out. Of people coming through their home. So oftentimes I'm aware of some of these opportunities that come on the market before. And then it allows me to show you other properties as well from other companies. So when other companies, say John L. Scott or Windermere, list properties, it allows me the ability to negotiate, especially making sure that compensation is something that I ask them to pay for, and making sure that we have open dialogue to get disclosures and things that are be important to you in making a decision over the other. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, it does. And looking at the form, it doesn't look like that's not anything I signed with the company.
No, and this is something that I would send to you after I get done with the presentation. Is I'll send this to you so you can read through it and understand what I would do to help you earn the trust. This is something that if you do want to work with me, Candace, I have a very full schedule, but I take very good care of my clients. So in order for me to work for you, I would have you sign this agency agreement, but this is be something you would do after seeing what I can do for you.
Absolutely.
And I'll go through a lot of that tonight. Let's go to the next. Okay, so I'm some of the competitors that are out there, Candace. I pride myself, like I said earlier, in making sure that my clients get the best support and the best service possible. And again, none of the services that I offer you is going to cost you a penny because I negotiate that with the seller. But these are all the services I provide that all the best buyers agents provide. And I will be happy to send this to you ahead of my, but I mean, some of the things that your other broker that opened the door at the other company, you know, or if they are at this or virtual open houses to do preliminary walkthroughs of some of these other condos and say the competing condo complexes. You know, if you kind of look at this, this is actually quite lengthy as far as how many, you know, things that I do on your behalf. If you kind of scroll down, Shannon. So like some of the other things is verifying the homeowners association. It's super important when you're buying a condo that you actually have some of this important information before you. Choice Realty is one condo is not like the other. Like you saw with the amenities, there might be rental caps, there might be things that you can't do with the condo after you buy it. And none of those things do we want to have problems with after you get under contract. So I verify a lot of the information, whether they've ordered the resale certificate. I can assess the seller's timing with the kind of questions that I ask that listing agent. Keep scrolling down, and it's like number 28. I'm assessing the seller's motivation. The other thing I do for my clients can analysis. Some of the condos you're going to find go on the market really fast and then they go really quick. And that's sometimes because they underprice it below market value to generate multiple offers. That doesn't mean that we want you overpaying. So we want you to be fully prepared with what is the CMA, what is the market value of that particular condo. Were there some other concerns that you had about the buying process that would make you want to work with an experienced professional? Things that you wanted to check out when you go out and look at properties?
The one thing that I was concerned about is, you know, I have cash, and I also was considering,
You do? Okay.
yeah, I was also considering going ahead and getting some financing as well. Kind of want to be able to have somebody that can break down the difference based on the times right now. I think I want to keep a little more of my cash and maybe do
Okay.
financing side of things. So maybe there's a way that I can do something 50-50, but I would love that if you could connect me with somebody who can help with that.
Yeah, no, it sounds like my brother said that you had already made application with a lender. So you've already done the pre-approval process. So great job on that. What price range did they pre-approve you for? And who are you using?
Just under 2 million.
Okay.
And, you know, honestly, I don't even remember the name of the company. But
Okay.
they weren't as thorough as you and didn't ask a lot of these questions. So I really appreciate it.
Okay. So if I always recommend lenders, and the reason for that is because sometimes it's good for you to get, you know, your bank, especially if you're going to be maybe cash, right? And you've got the cash. Do you have the cash on hand of the 2 million in like in a retirement account, or is it liquid in the bank?
It's liquid.
Okay. And what bank is that with?
Wells Fargo.
Wells Fargo. Okay. So yeah, what I would do, especially if you're thinking about getting financed, is go ahead and contact Wells Fargo, somebody that you bank with, And it sounds like you got the pre-approval letter maybe from them or somebody else.
It
But
probably,
then I think it would be smart, Candace, to actually, with the rates as low as they are, to allow you to leverage, your different investments. And speaking with somebody that can do and help you understand, much like I'm doing with you tonight. I know of a guy who is in West Seattle. His name is Sam at Movement Mortgage. And what he can do is kind of go through and do a strategy session with you to help you understand, now that you've got a pre-approval letter with your bank, how you can use that pre-approval letter. And he could probably, in fact, he said he saved his last client at Chase a couple $1,000 just because of the way they're structuring it. So it might be smart, especially if you're putting a significant amount down, that we shop with him as well. Would that be something you'd be open to talking to, doing that strategy session with him?
yes.
Okay. And what's even better, Candace, I know it's like pretty late tonight. I don't know if he works late, so if he can't reach you, but what I can do, you sound like you're pretty techie, right?
Yeah.
Are you able to fill out things on a mobile application?
Yes.
Like a mobile app to send you. So what I can do is have Sam send you his mobile app, and then you can get the process started with him on the mobile app. And it's a secure app so that you can have those conversations. And he's fantastic about responding quickly and getting that process started with you. So I just wrote down, can I just have him text you the mobile app at that phone number?
That's probably the best way.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so back to what I do. You can see there's a lot of things that I do to help my buyers. We're going to review the inspector's report. I'll go through the consultation, but this will be something you can kind of reference as far as what I do to help my buyers. And all these things do not cost you a penny. I negotiate my commission. All of the things I do here is because I'm getting paid by the seller to represent you. If we find something that's off market, like I described earlier, then I would go to the seller and say, here is all of the work that I do to earn the commission. And most of the time they're going to pay a buyer's commission. And that's something that I also negotiate for you as well. Let's go to the buyer consultation, Shannon. Sure. So you guys, just a side note, you can find all of these materials right on our bestchoicerealtyhomes.com website. You go into buyer presentation. All of these things can be found, and you can download them and have them ready to go on your Zoom right from our homepage. So you don't have to, if you want them personalized, Lori does a fantastic job at creating a personalized presentation. Maybe you want your own testimonials. Maybe you want your own personalized. These are the generic presentations, though, that are in a PDF. So that's where you would find it. And then you would just go in and you could download it. So Shannon's just going to put that on the screen right now. So while she's doing that, Candace, you said you looked at the one in the Insignia. Do you have to be on a certain floor, like a certain level in the condo complex?
No. However, I really like light. And Seattle, we get a lot of rain. So I would like something that's going to, don't know which way the sun sets, but I definitely want light.
Okay.
Something that's going to bring a lot of light into it. I love to entertain.
Okay.
And I also enjoy the nightlife. So I want to be able to entertain and, come home on the weekend and maybe even entertain on the weekends. So.
Okay. And then as far as you said you did not have a car, but do you need a parking space?
No.
Okay. For resale, it might be smart to have a parking space though, Candace, but I'll keep that as kind of a nice to have, not as the must.
I didn't think of that. Thank you.
Yeah. And then as far as there are some standalone condos. Is there a preference to standalone versus in a high rise, or do you have, it doesn't sound like the amenities are as important to you. So have you explored maybe looking at some of those ideas as well?
I would be open to that as an option. Absolutely.
Okay. And what's interesting that I'm seeing in the marketplace, Candace, is that with the things that are going on in the heart of Seattle, what we're seeing is there is some more inventory that's popping up in that range of $1 to $2 million. And you might be able to pick up some good deals. If it's been sitting on the market for a little bit longer, there might be some opportunity to negotiate. But like I said, if we can get your pre-approval set up and then you've got the ability to pay cash, you're going to be in a very good position for offering on some of these opportunities. So what I've got on the screen here is our presentation. And I'll send this to you after we get done, but just to kind of give you a little bit of background about the company that I work for, that we are really honed into making sure that we have the highest quality, most innovative technology. We're going to use mobile applications, e-signature, those types of things to get you the best deal possible. Like I said earlier, we have over 300 brokers in my firm, and there are 6 offices, and we all, mostly virtual because we have COVID that we have to worry about. But we're one of the fastest growing independent brokerages in Washington. So the step-by-step is what I really want to spend some time with you. I mean, kudos to you for actually getting your purchasing options, because a lot of buyers that I work with, they actually they go out and look for the properties first on like step 3, and they forget that the most important part is knowing their purchasing options and then beginning their pre-approval process before they actually go out and find or locate the property. But all through this process from step 1 to step 8, I will be along the way. That's the difference between the other company you were working with and Best Choice Realty. When you're working with a Best Choice Realty agent like myself, I'm there for the inspection, I'm there for the negotiation, I'm there to open the doors. The only thing that I have help with, Candace, because I produce at such a high level, is I have a transaction coordinator that helps me with the paperwork once we get to step 5. That's when I have somebody that jumps in and helps me with some of the paperwork. But you're going to be with me through the entire process from start to finish. So if there's some negotiation, or if there's a lot of things I have to do to help you, navigate some of these difficult processes, that is what I'm here for. And that's how I earn my commission. So is there questions about the process? Have you ever made an offer on a home before, or will this be your first time?
This will be my first time.
Okay. So it'll be important for you to kind of read probably this kind of guide. And then if there's any questions, I work best by text, because I have things that are coming and going throughout the day. So if you have a quick question, or you want to send me, some ideas, text is the best way to reach me. What is the best way to reach you?
Text as well.
Okay, fantastic. So that's kind of how we'll go. But as far as the making the offer, we'll review all of the options. It takes me about 3 different appointments. Candace, the way I work is I'll go out and show you at 3 different times. The first time we go out, we may look at maybe 4 or 5 different condo options, but then I'll know what you're really looking for. By the second one, we maybe go out and look at a couple, unless we have to retool our, our area or our price range. And by the third time, most of my clients actually find the home they're going to offer on. So it's pretty easy going, but again, there's a lot of questions and a lot of things that we do behind the scenes. And it sounds to me like you're actually active on this other mobile application. Would it be possible for you to actually make me a friend on that mobile application so I can see what you're looking for?
Yes, I surely can.
That would be fantastic. The other option would be getting you on another mobile application, but I know it's easier if we just keep it right where you're at. You're kind of already looking at things. What have you seen so far that intrigued you?
I've seen, I did see a townhouse, or maybe it's a standalone condo.
Okay.
And that was in the Queen Anne area.
Okay, awesome.
I also saw there was a condo, and I have it saved, so I should be able to send that over to you. But it was pretty basic. It was more of it was like a loft industrial style condo.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the idea of that. It had 1 bedroom that was kind of open. And then there was the second room, which was the second bedroom, which was the master bedroom. And I really liked that.
Awesome. So, you've done a lot of that
The
hunting.
windows in there, and that I love.
Okay, perfect. So what I'll do is once I get the invite from you on that other mobile application to participate, then what I can do is send you some of the secret notes that I have or the research that I've done on those particular complexes or on those particular properties. Such as like, is the resale certificate? Are the disclosures available? Some of those important things that you may not know because you're just on that mobile app. And I'll provide that to you so that we can have a good dialogue about whether that's a viable property or not for you, whether it would meet your needs or whether it's something that's in litigation. There are some complexes that look like they're great deals, and then we find out, it's got more things that I didn't know about. So we want to make sure that you have all of the facts before we actually tour the property. That way, that this is something that would be something that you would like. So I'll provide that once you get me access to those few homes that you found. So let me just wrap up a little bit here, Candace, with you. The cost to purchase. You said you had the money in the bank, which is fantastic, but just so you understand, earnest money in Washington, if it's your first time, earnest money is what you put down initially once we find the property that you want to offer. It's about 1%, but if we're in a multiple offer situation, don't be shocked. It might be 2 or 3% that we have to put up, and that is earnest money that goes towards the purchase price. Okay. It will be credited to you at closing, but it shows how serious you are about the purchase price or about making that earnest, making that contract a serious kind of thing for you. So be prepared to have that ready to go, or that money we wire typically with that. And so we would just do wiring instructions from your bank at US Bank or Wells Fargo to the escrow company. And we open everything up with escrow. So it's not held by my company or my firm or by the seller. Most of the time it's held by the escrow company. I always write my contracts with inspections, Candace. I don't want my clients to find some things that we didn't see initially. That is a cost that is associated with you. Do you have an inspector, or do you know of anybody in the business that you would like to have professionally inspect?
I can ask around, but I don't know right off the top. I don't have any friends that are inspectors or any friends that have recently told me of any.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with, putting it out there. I know you're on social media. If you want to find somebody, that is something you pay for. The range is anywhere from $450 to $700, including all of the other testing that you might want to do on the condo. Even though it's a condo, we still recommend that it be inspected structurally. And I've saved people thousands. It's like insurance, that you put up insurance. If there's something that's not right, that's usually something I can negotiate as well, which is helpful to have a good inspector. And I know several. So if you don't know somebody, I can put you in touch with an inspector that can help you for that range. So you're going to plan on about $450 to $700 for inspections.
Okay.
And then the appraisal, that is your cost. If you end up doing a cash sale and just, we find a $1 million really good condo that you want to just do cash on, then you may still want to do an appraisal on it. And appraisals are going to run anywhere from $750 to $1,000. That would also be your cost, or that's included in your closing costs. Okay. Closing costs are what lenders charge, and it's usually ranges from 2 to 5%. Oftentimes they'll break that all down for you. If you got a pre-approval letter, what would be helpful, Candace, is if you take that pre-approval letter or that closing cost estimate and give that to Sam so that he can make sure he's saving you a lot of money. And I love it when my clients tell me, here's the closing cost estimate for my bank. And by going with a mortgage professional, somebody that's very, very good, and Sam's been in the business a long time, he can often beat the interest rate, but more importantly, the closing costs that are associated with doing the loan. He prides himself in saving a lot of money.
So that's not a set number.
No, it's not. Yeah. Not something. So a lot of people will say, oh, I can get you this interest rate. Yeah, that's great. But there's also closing costs that are involved with getting that interest rate oftentimes. So it's important that you shop. And like I said, 2 lenders would be sufficient, at least 2. one that maybe you bank with, and then, like I said, and get another opinion with Sam, and you'll be in good shape.
Right.
Next slide. So these are some tips. I won't go through it because I'm not a mortgage professional, Candace, but these are the tips that Sam would advise that you do not do. I'll send this to you afterwards so you can read through. It's hard to see on the screen. Next slide. And then these are some testimonials of clients that have been very happy with Best Choice Realty. But here's what I'm going to do for you, Candace. I'm going to meet your home buying needs with the least amount of hassle. So I know my brother, he only refers people that he knows that I will work well with. And I really want to give you the best service possible and help you find the best home. So you found some things, I'll probably find some things as well. But it's working exclusively for you by not only, finding and meeting your home buy needs, but securing the best financing, keeping you completely informed. The three of us, Sam, you, me, or the other lender, will keep you completely informed. Remain 100% committed. If you're not happy with my services, you can call my boss. I have a boss I report to. Her name is Rochelle Wilhite at Best Choice Realty, and she takes the service very serious to make sure that we are all doing a good job at Best Choice Realty. And most importantly, I negotiate the lowest price. So I'm going to do a lot of research to help you understand and get the best deal possible. So like I said before, all of those services don't cost you anything, Candace. All it takes is just a buyer agency agreement to get started. So what I'll do for you tonight after I'll let you talk and ask any more questions that you want, but I will send you a copy of the presentation that I just went through, as well as the duties that I have, and then the buyer agency agreement that would need to be signed, and then some disclosures that will be in a second email that I'm required to send you. But once you sign, then I will get started working with all of the people that are necessary to get you the best deal possible. Do you have any questions for me?
No, this is great. Thank you for taking the time out to explain the process and give me a better understanding of the next steps. It sounds like we're past step 1, so on to 2. I'll go ahead and make application with Sam, get this work signed off, and add you to my account. Yeah, to my account, so you can see the properties that I've been looking at.
Okay, fantastic. So that's how it goes, you guys. I had a few people chat in the window that I saw, but as far as the mobile application, if they're not, it's easier to keep them on the mobile application they're already using. If they're not using a mobile app, I would recommend HomeSnap as the mobile app. It's a lot easier. It has the friend capability. It's got the back and forth. You can see or you can share properties. The other thing that I want to make sure that we pointed out is that, do we have to do a buyer agency agreement? If you don't do a buyer agency agreement, you're just running the risk that somebody else will. And other companies are doing buyer agency agreements. So the more you wait, the longer you wait, there's more chances for them to go find another buyer's agent to work for them. And you don't want to be stuck in a situation where you're doing all this work, you're doing these Zoom meetings, and now we have to backpedal and get buyer agency agreement established. Buyer agency is, if you do not have a buyer agency agreement signed, then the assumption is that you have an agency agreement when you write the contract in Washington. So you can establish agency sooner by actually having them sign something earlier. Any other questions? I think there was some more that came in. Shannon, want to go ahead and open it up?
Sure. So I think you already answered this, but is buyer agreement essential? Can we move without it?
You can, yes.
What is an estimate percentage for closing costs for a buyer?
It's in the buyer consultation package. I would say anywhere, if you haven't spoken with the lender, a 2 to 4%, 2 to 5%. Again, higher if it's down payment assistance. 2% if it's, you got origination, you got loan cost fees, you got other things that you have to, underwriting fees, those types of things. 2% is a good estimate. But again, you should talk with the lender before you write the deal. If you're talking about closing costs or wrapping them into the loan or setting the right expectations, most buyers just need to know a range when you start out with them. Okay.
I think that was all the questions that we had.
All right. Anything else, Candace, was you're going through, is there anything you would have done differently, or again, it was a role play, so it always is a little weird.
Yeah, no, I think it was great. I think it was wonderful. It's kind of just going through going through it as it is there and follow along and just plug in and play, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important for you to set the stage. And I don't know, I mean, in a role play, we probably do more really establish, like, how did you know about my brother? And in the real deal, when I actually did this one, I did it probably an extra 5 minutes at the beginning, just really understanding and building that loyalty and trust. You should not be doing a buyer agency agreement if you have not established trust and rapport. Don't even go there. It's not even something that they will sign. So you have to really feel connected to that other person before you'll sign something. I asked the guy, the real deal, I asked him if he'd actually say, he's like, I go, did they actually put a buyer agency agreement in front of you? He's like, no. All they're doing is just opening doors though. And you need to set yourself apart as a consultant. And the best way to do that is to educate. And Candace, I mean, that's what we were doing, is just really educating and consulting. So setting the stage, maybe asking a few questions, showing your professionalism, and then tie it down at the very end with just, here's what I'll do for you. And then when you follow up with those 2 emails, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is like, the follow-up is huge. A lot of people say that they're going to do this or that for somebody. How many people actually follow through? And so that's what the client's looking for, is how will you follow through? When will that client, I mean, he got a text message, the actual client got a text message from Sam like 5 minutes after we were into the presentation with the mobile application. He's like, oh my gosh, they rolled out the red carpet for me. That's the kind of experience that you want with these buyer consultations. You want them to feel special. You want to build rapport. You can do that on Zoom. It's not as easy, right, Candace? It's definitely not as easy, but it can be done. And you have the presentation material that you can speak to.
Well, and I would also just add that having the buyer's presentation in itself and doing it, it actually builds trust. You are building that trust. You're building that foundation. And I've talked to people, and even for myself, the times that you find that you have somebody who's just kind of, you're just go out on a whim and you're just out showing them, you haven't sat down and kind of been able to bring, this allows you to control your job as the agent, as opposed to having them. If you can go back to the portion where Rochelle said, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to show you 4 homes, on our first outing. I'm going to show you 3 homes. And then by that point, at that 3rd time, we should be ready to make an offer, because we'll know where you're looking. And this is what will help prevent, a lot of agents from running around showing 30, 40 different homes. It really sets a foundation, and it allows them to realize, okay, this person is dedicated to my goal and they're the expert, right? You are the expert.
Yeah, and have I shown more than 4? Yes, I have. But on average, it's setting them up like, that's on average, this is how it's done, right? And he or she this is the first time. And so it's kind of scary as a new buyer, right? Of going into being put in that situation, but you want to make sure that you have that professional. You don't want some new guy that's just showing up to open the door. You want to have that person that's going to give that type of service. So this is a service business. I'm glad that I was able to get that part out in the role play, Candace, but I've practiced that. That's not something that I learned in my first year of doing this. I got stuck showing tons of homes, just lots of clients. And then once I was coached, Rochelle, why are you going out and showing 7 different appointments? I was like, oh, there's a way to do this. Yeah, there is. You have to set expectations with your client. Sure, you're going to maybe do 4 appointments, or you may show them more homes, but on average, people like to know that you've got a system, or that you have a process. And it's served me very well. So was there anything else, Shannon or Candace, that we needed to cover?
No, just where can we find these resources? I know a couple of people have messaged me about that already.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and post it on the YouTube, so you guys will have that as well as the link. And all of the material I talked about tonight, and there's some good stuff, bestchoicerealtyhomes.com. And if you go down to the quick links, it's under buyer presentation. And you can find that information, all of the pieces we covered. There was an intake sheet that a lot of you guys need. I took notes on it. It's like, see all my notes that I was just talking with Candace?
Here, I can share.
If you don't have the searching for homes, you need something to type some notes on. It's what I call the intake sheet. So have a bunch of these, you know, you can jot things, you can turn it over on the backside and write notes, but if you have 5 questions from this, I would be very shocked. We asked about price range, we asked about lender, we asked about financing, and we asked about what more to this if you want it, or build on an intake show and the company and just giving them tons of information. You want to have a good back and forth dialogue, and you do that by having an intake sheet or a sheet that you can ask questions from. Okay, so that's what I was using even in the role play with Candace, was my searching for homes intake sheet. And I still take a lot of notes, pen to paper. It just shows that you're listening, allows another person to speak. And I think it's a good thing to practice as well, is using that pen to paper approach. Okay, have a great week, you guys, and good luck out there. If there's anything we can do,